Okay, today I'm gonna talk about higher order function and occurring in React. Not only in React, these two concepts are also in raw JavaScript. So first we need to review a little bit about the example from last class, which is simple form in React. So we give it a def, it's called original form. And we have our script barbell, and we give it a React class, original form, and original form. Yeah, original form. Now we add a form. Action is current page. The URL is current page, and the method is get. We add a input field username, right? And another input field which is a password, and a button says click me. In this two field, we need a name, username, and a password. Still, in these two fields, input field, we need a callback function to handle on-change event. This dot save username, and this dot save password. Okay. Now we need these two functions. Save username event, this dot set state, username k, and event dot target dot value. And we still need another function, save password, accept event, and this dot set state password event dot target dot value. Okay, something wrong here. Original form. Oh yeah, need a bracket here. So arrow, save, password, event, this dot set state, this password k, event dot target dot value. And we need a function here called onSubmit. This dot show data 1. We need a function here is called show data 1. Show data 1. And in this function, we will give it an alert template string, and says username is string template, this dot state dot username, and the password is template string state dot password. Now we just test this page again. Test 1, 2, 3. Click me, username, test, password, right? So it just works. As you can see, the page was refreshed. So we want to prevent this refresh. So we have event, and we have event start prevent default, right? To use Ajax instead of refreshing page or sending requests to server or something to permit it to refreshing page, right? So now it works. This is the example from last class, a simple form. As you can see here, we wrote this twice: save username, save password. It looks fun, but not really, not quite right, because suppose this is not a login page, and this is a sign up page. So besides username and password, you still need email address, physical address, postcode, phone number, stuff like that. Then you will need to declare many functions here, right? So this is not quite right. So we remove these fields, and we want to use single function to handle all those input fields. So what should we do? So now we need to come to a higher order function. What is higher order function? So a higher function is either these two types of function is a higher order function. Which two functions? So first, suppose if you accept a function as a parameter, then you are a higher order function, or you return a function as a result. Either one of them is a higher order function. So how could we use this higher order function concept to make this code more compact and efficient, to unify these two functions as one? So first we back to this, and we'll copy this to the second part. So now it should be to higher order, right? And in the render method is higher order. Title higher order function. Okay, let's refresh the page. Yeah, it displayed. So now we want to unify these two functions as one. These two functions as one. So new functions, we call it save form data, right? And now we'll give it a placeholder, just console log, right? So suppose I would just change the first save username as save form data. And to save form data, you use one function to handle all unchanged events. So at least you need to specify which key or which field, which data you want to store into the state, right? So you need to specify that, I want to do something on username, or so in this function we need to accept this username or password or email address, right? So this is a data type, and so we want to save this. We can do this dot set state and data type event dot target dot value, right? So we use the event bubbling to get the value from the first input field, username input field. We'll assign the value to data type right? So now let's try this. Oh, it gives us an error message. Cannot update during an existing state transition. Render method should be a pure function, props and state. Why it happens? So let's just get rid of this first and see what happens here. Let's give it a alert data type. It says username. So we actually the variable we accept from here, the data type is actually data type, but it is not supposed to be a data type. It's supposed to be a username, right? So why it isn't? Because we passed because in this input field, in this unchanged event, you pass a function and you put a bracket after the function. Means once the page load, you will call this function right after the page load, and you pass the username as a variable to this function. We have talked about this before. At the callback function, you only pass a JavaScript expression or a value here instead of a function, or it would just be executed right after the page load. So right here, we shouldn't do it this way. If we pass the username, they will just accept the username right here. So what we want to do, we want to still make it even the save form data bracket username has execute. We still want to put a function here to be waiting until unchanged event occurred, right? So in this place, we give it a this dot set state, and we give it a data type and event dot target dot value. Event. Right? We give it the test and 1, 2, 3. It says undefined. Why it is undefined? So means that this dot state dot username is undefined. So username has not been stored into the state correctly. So we want to know what is inside of this data type. We want to know. Let's take a look at the state. What is inside of this state, right? So test. One, two, three. Click. Undefined. So when we put the test here, it says null. Why? Because when we pass the data type right here, we just use this as a key of this state object. We don't want to do this because we want to actually pass the username. So we treat this data type as a variable. If you use a variable as a key, you need a square bracket and you use data type right here. So let's refresh the page, test. Now, as you can see, username, right? So the first line is null because we haven't initialized the state. So this is not a good practice. So we should give a state an initial value. It says username, password, test, right? As you can see here, so it's not null anymore. So in this way, we can do save form data, right? So we don't need this for these two functions anymore. We just replace it with same form data. So at the same time, we should save form data and password. Right? So let's just refresh the page. It says test 1 2 3. Click username, test, password. Now we use one save form function, replaced those two functions, and whatever how many input fields we added to the page, we still can just use this function save form data by passing different field name or different key, right? So password right here. So this one, we accept a variable, but we return a function. We return a function. So this is a higher order function. There is another concept involved. It's called function currying. So what is function currying? I'll just show you directly right here. So currying is a technique converting a function that takes multiple arguments into a sequence of function that each takes a single argument. So we just put it here. Oh. Yep. So as compared to this, so as you can see, so converting a function that takes multiple arguments, actually there are two arguments, right? Data type and event, but we take it into a sequence of functions, right? So we just take one each time. So this is the function currying. In a regular function, we normally do like 1 2 3, right? So but in this case, we do it sequentially. We just take one first and take another one later. So this is a function currying. This is another pretty important concept in JavaScript. All right, so we use the higher order function solve this situation and make our code more compact and efficient. So, but I don't think this is good enough, and probably want to do it. We don't want to just make the code look so complex. So we want to remove the currying. So let's do give you another code example to optimize the code above. So let's do commit for remove currying, and still we copy this. And for remove currying, when we render this, remove currying, title remove currying, just to optimize our code, right? So let's just take a look at this code again. Let's refresh the page. Test. 1, 2, 3, click. Username tabs 1, 2, 3, right? So suppose we don't want to take the arguments one by one. We just want to make it look like a regular function, right? So what should we do? Again, in this part, you need to pass a JavaScript expression here, which is a reference of a function. So could we just do it this way? So arrow function event and this dot save form data user name, and after that we pass the event here, right? We pass a function here. So in this case, we have already put a function here, and we pass two values, right? So corresponding to this, so we need to modify the save form data, save form data. This function we accept a data type and an event. Do console log. How do we deal with this? So again, we do this dot set state and data type and event dart target dart value, right? So in this way we can just accept two arguments at the same time. We don't need to wait for another argument to be passed into the function later. So let's just do modify this as well. So we pass a function. This function accepts an event, and this dot save form data, and password is data type and event, right? So let's refresh the page, remove currying, right? So test 1, 2, 3, click me, and says username test or password 1, 2, 3, right? So now I've shown you that how we deal with this. By using higher order function, we can optimize our code to unify all the saving actions into one function as save form data. And because the save form data is using function currying, we don't want to take the arguments one by one to make it look like so complex. So we just remove the currying by passing a callback function right here, right? So just always remember that you need to pass a simply function reference here. You cannot execute this function right away once the page load, right? Okay, so this is pretty much about the higher order function and function currying today.